Hello.
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 Hello. Hello.
Hello. Hello. So, I don't know how many people are going to be watching today, but that's okay because we're just going
That's
to have a little bit of fun.
showing a couple people are here.
Is there a couple of people here? Hello.
That's what
You can
it's
lurk
showing.
if you like, or you can leave little chatty comments. We don't mind, but we're going to have a little bit of a mess about and a little bit of a practice because we're doing some odd little things. So the first thing I'm going to do today is we're going to just do a little bit of a tester of the importance of being earnest, and we're going to do like the first few pages of the act, and well, at least up until Gwendolyn arrives. We're just going to have a little bit of fun with it, and then we're going to have a bit of a read off of very very old short stories of humor and levity and stuff or something. Isn't that right, Mr. Bear? So yes, it's meet and greets. Hello, 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 hello,
And it's me, Hair Bear. Hello.
hello, hello. We like doing this more anyway because it's all books. We love our books, and as much fun as gaming is, I think we're both more comfortable in the book space. Definitely, yes.
Hmm.
Hmm. Right then, what we'll do then? Okay, do you want to? Should we do the importance of being earnest first? Just the
Yeah,
first
let's do that.
pages, and we'll see how it gets on. So, the Mr. Bear's going to do Lane to start off with, and I'll do Algernon, and then Bear's going to do Ernest coming in afterwards, I believe, and we shall take it from there and see how we get on. And we might do it again tomorrow if Bear wants to. And
Sure.
yes, that'd be awesome. I reckon if anybody's listening, it's going to be Rose. I'm thinking, just saying.
I think Rose would have. I think if Rose was listening, she'd have piped up by now. That's what. That's
I don't know. I don't know. It's like we'll see. I'll find out if it was Rose or not. But hello to the person that's watching. We really appreciate you being here, and you can have a performance just for you. There we go. Right. So I'll do the little start off bit, and then we can crack on from there. So. The Importance of Being Earnest by the amazing, the wonderful Mr. Oscar of Wilde. Oscar Wilde. First act. Scene. The morning room in Algernon's flat in Half Moon Street. The room is luxuriously and artistically furnished. The sound of a piano is heard in the adjoining room. Lane is arranging afternoon tea on the table, and after the music has ceased, Algernon enters. Did you hear what I was playing, Lane?
I didn't think it polite to listen, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry for that. For your sake, I don't play accurately. Anyone can play accurately, but I play with a wonderful expression. Now, as far as the piano is concerned, sentiment is my forte. I keep science for life.
Yes.
And speaking of the science of life, have you got the cucumber sandwiches out for Lady Bracknell?
Yes.
Hmm. Hmm. Oh, by the way, Lane, I see from your book that on Thursday night, when Lord Shawman and Mr. Worthing were dining with me, 8 bottles of champagne are entered as having been consumed.
Yes. 8 bottles and a pint.
Why is it that at a bachelor's establishment the servants invariably drink the champagne? I ask merely for information.
I attribute it to the superior quality of the wine, sir. I have often observed that in married households the champagne is rarely of a first-rate brand.
Good heavens! Is marriage as demoralizing as that?
I believe it is a very pleasant state, sir. I have had very little experience of it myself up to present. I have only been married once. That is a consequence of a misunderstanding between myself and a young person.
I don't know that I am much interested in your family life, Lane.
No, sir, it is not a very interesting subject. I never think of it myself.
Very natural, I'm sure. That will do, Lane. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Lane's views on marriage seem somewhat lax. Really, if the lower orders don't set us a good example, what on earth is the use of them? I mean, they seem as a class to have absolutely no sense of moral responsibility.
Mr. Ernest Worthing, sir.
How are you, my dear Ernest? What brings you up to town?
Oh, pleasure, pleasure. What else would bring one anywhere? Eating as usual, I see, Algy.
I believe it is customary in good society to take some slight refreshment at 5 o'clock. Where have you been since last Thursday?
In the country.
What on earth do you do there?
When one is in town, one amuses oneself. When one is in the country, one amuses other people. It is excessively boring.
Oh, and who are the people you amuse?
Oh, neighbours, neighbours.
Got nice neighbours in your part of Shropshire?
Perfectly horrid. Never speak to one of them.
How immensely you must amuse them. By the way, Shropshire is your county, is it not?
Eh? Shropshire? Yes, of course. Hello. Why all these cups? Why cucumber sandwiches? Why such reckless extravagance in one so young? Who's coming to tea?
Oh, merely Aunt Augusta and Gwendolen.
How perfectly delightful.
Ah! Take a quick break there. Lost my page. Yes, that is all very well, but I'm afraid Aunt Augusta won't quite approve of your being here.
May I ask why?
My dear fellow, the way you flirt with Gwendolen is perfectly disgraceful. It is almost as bad as the way Gwendolen flirts with you.
I am in love with Gwendolen. I have come up to town expressly to propose to her.
I thought you had come up for pleasure. I call that business.
How utterly unromantic you are.
I really don't see anything romantic in proposing. It is very romantic to be in love, true, but there is nothing romantic about a definite proposal. Why, one may be accepted. One usually is, I believe. Then the excitement is all over. The very essence of romance is uncertainty. If ever I get married, I'll certainly try to forget the fact.
I have no doubt about that, dear Algy. The divorce court was specially invented for people whose memories are so curiously constituted.
Oh, there is no use speculating on that subject. Divorces are made in heaven. Please don't touch the cucumber sandwiches. They are ordered specially for Aunt Augusta.
Well, you've been eating them all the time.
That is quite a different matter. She is my aunt. Have some bread and butter. The bread and butter is for Gwendolen. Gwendolen is devoted to bread and butter.
And very good bread and butter it is, too.
Well, my dear fellow, you need not eat as if you were going to eat it all. You behave as if you were married to her already. You are not married to her already, and I don't think you ever will be.
Why on earth would you say that?
Well, in the first place, girls never marry the men they flirt with. Girls don't think it right.
Oh, that is nonsense.
It isn't. It's the great truth. It accounts for the extraordinary number of bachelors that one sees all over the place. In the second place, I don't give my consent.
Your consent?
My dear fellow, Gwendolen is my first cousin, and before I allow you to marry her, you will have to clear up the whole question of Cecily.
Cecily? What on earth do you mean? What do you mean, Algy, by Cecily? I don't know anyone by the name of Cecily.
Bring me that cigarette case Mr. Worthing left in the smoke room the last time he dined here, Lane.
Yes, Do you mean to say that you have my cigarette case all this time? I wish to goodness you had let me know. I've been writing frantic letters to Scotland Yard about it. I was very nearly offering a large reward.
Well, I wish you would offer one. I happen to be more than usually hard up.
There's no good in offering a large reward now that the thing is found.
I think that is rather mean of you, Ernest, I must say. However, it makes no matter, for now that I look at the inscription inside, I find that the thing isn't yours after all.
Of course it's mine. You have seen me with it 100 times, and you have no right whatsoever to read what is written inside. It is a very ungentlemanly thing to read a private cigarette case.
Oh, it is absurd to have a hard and fast rule about what one should read and what one shouldn't. More than half of modern culture depends on what one shouldn't read.
I am quite aware of the fact, and I don't propose to discuss modern culture. It isn't the sort of thing one should talk of in private. I simply want my cigarette case back.
Yes, but this isn't your cigarette case. This cigarette case is a present from someone of the name of Cecily, and you said you didn't know anyone of that name.
Well, if you want to know, Cecily happens to be my aunt.
Your aunt?
Yes, charming old lady she is too. Lives at Tunbridge Wells. Just give it back to me, Algy.
But why does she call herself Little Cecily, if she's your aunt and lives at Tunbridge Wells? From Little Cecily with her fondest love.
My dear fellow, what on earth is that in there? What on earth is there in that? Some aunts are tall, some aunts are not tall. That is a matter that surely my aunt may be allowed to decide for herself. You seem to think that every aunt should be exactly like your aunt. That is absurd. For heaven's sake, give me back my cigarette case.
Yes. But why does your aunt call you her uncle? From Little Cecily, with her fondest love to her dear Uncle Jack. There is no objection, I admit, to an aunt being a small aunt, but why an aunt, no matter what her size may be, should call her own nephew her uncle? I can't quite make it out. Besides, your name isn't Jack at all. It is Ernest.
It isn't. It isn't Ernest, it's Jack.
You have always told me it was Ernest. I have introduced you to everyone as Ernest. You answer to the name of Ernest. You look as if your name was Ernest. You are the most earnest-looking person I ever saw in my life. It is perfectly absurd you're saying that your name isn't Ernest. It is on your cards. Here is one of them. Mr. Ernest Worthing, B. for the Albany. I'll keep this as a proof that your name is Ernest if you ever attempted to deny it to me, or to Gwendolen, or to anyone else.
Well, my name is Ernest in town and Jack in the country. And the cigarette case was given to me in the country.
Yes, but that does not account for the fact that your small Aunt Cecily, who lives at Tunbridge Wells, calls you her dear uncle. Come on, old boy. You had much better have the thing out at once.
My dear Algy, you talk exactly as if you were a dentist. It is a very vulgar thing to talk like a dentist when one isn't a dentist. It produces a false impression.
Well, that is exactly what dentists always do. Now, go on. Tell me the whole thing. I may mention that I have always suspected you of being a confirmed and secret Bunburyist, and I'm quite sure of it now.
Sidebar, the frick is a Bunburyist?
I've got no freaking clue.
Yeah. See,
Something
Jackson's
of Bunbury.
Okay, we might have the same because Jack said the same thing. Bunburyist? What on earth do you mean by a Bunburyist?
I will reveal to you the meaning of that incomparable expression as soon as you're kind enough to inform me why you are Ernest in town and Jack in the country.
Well, produce my cigarette case first.
Here it is. Now, produce your explanation, and pray make it improbable.
My dear fellow, there is nothing improbable about my explanation at all. In fact, it's perfectly ordinary. Old Mr. Thomas Cardew, who adopted me when I was a little boy, made me in his will guardian to his granddaughter, Miss Cecily Cardew. Cecily, who addresses me as her uncle from motives of respect that you would not probably appreciate, lives at my place in the country under the charge of her admirable governess, Miss Prism.
Where is that place in the country, by the way?
That is nothing to you, dear boy. You're not going to be invited. I may tell you candidly that the place is not in Shropshire.
I suspected that, my dear fellow. I have Bunburied all over Shropshire on 2 separate occasions. Now, go on. Stop. And scene. Now, go on. Why are you Ernest in town and Jack in the country?
My dear Algy, I don't know whether you will be able to understand my real motives. You are hardly serious enough. When one is placed in the position of guardian, one has to adopt a very high moral tone in all subjects. It is one's duty to do so, and as a high moral tone can hardly be said to conduce very much to either one's health or one's happiness, in order to get up to town, I've always pretended to have a younger brother of the name of Earnest, who lives in the Albany, and gets into the most dreadful scrapes. That, my dear Algy, is the whole truth, pure and simple.
The truth is rarely pure and never simple. Modern life would be very tedious if it was either, and modern literature a complete impossibility.
That wouldn't at all be a bad thing.
Literary criticism is not your forte, my dear fellow. Don't try it. You should leave that to people who haven't been at a university. They do it so well in the daily papers. Now, what you really are is a Bunburyist. I was quite right in saying you were a Bunburyist. You are one of the most advanced Bunburyists I know.
What on earth do you mean?
You have invented a very useful younger brother called Earnest, in order that you may be able to come up to Tyne as often as you like. I have invented an invaluable permanent invalid called Bunbury, in order that I may be able to go down into the country whenever I choose. Bunbury is perfectly invaluable. If it wasn't for Bunbury's extraordinary bad health, for instance, I wouldn't be able to dine with you at Willis's tonight, for I have been really engaged to Aunt Augusta for more than a week.
I haven't asked you to dine with me anywhere tonight.
I know. You are absurdly careless about sending out invitations. It is very foolish of you. Now, nothing annoys people so much as not receiving invitations.
You had much better dine with your Aunt Augusta.
I haven't the smallest intention of doing anything of the kind. To begin with, I dine there on Monday, and once a week is quite enough to dine with one's own relations. In the second place, whenever I do dine there, I am always treated as a member of the family, and sent down with either no woman at all, or two. In the third place, I know perfectly well whom she will place me next to, tonight. She will place me next to Mary Farquhar, who always flirts with her own husband across the dinner table. That's not very pleasant. No, indeed, it's not even decent, and that sort of thing is enormously on the increase. The amount of women in London who flirt with their own husbands is perfectly scandalous. It looks so bad. It's simply washing one's clean linen in public. Besides, now that I know you to be a confirmed Bunburyist, I naturally want to talk to you about Bunburying. I want to tell you the rules.
Do you want to put the title up?
Oh, that'd be an idea. Bonk.
There it is. Okay. I am not a Bunburyist at all. If Gwendolen accepts me, I am going to kill my brother. Indeed, I think I'll kill him in any case. Cecily is a little too much interested in him. It is rather a bore. I am going to get rid of Ernest, and I strongly advise you to do the same with with your friend who has the absurd name.
Nothing will induce me to part with Bunbury. If you ever get married, which seems to me extremely problematic, you'll be very glad to know Bunbury. A man who marries without knowing Bunbury has a very tedious time of it.
That is nonsense. If I marry a charming girl like Gwendolen, and she is the only girl I ever saw in my life that I would marry, I certainly won't want to know Bunbury.
Then your wife will.
Oh my.
You don't seem to realize that in married life 3 is company and 2 is none.
That, my dear young friend, is a theory that the corrupt French drama has been propounding for the last 50 years.
Yes, and that the happy English home has proved in half the time.
Oh, heaven's sake, don't try to be cynical. It's perfectly easy to be cynical.
My dear fellow, it isn't easy to be anything nowadays. There's such a lot of beastly competition about. Oh, that must be Aunt Augusta. Only relatives or creditors ever ringing that Wagnerian manner. Now, if I get her out of the way for 10 minutes, so that you can have an opportunity of proposing again. Try that again, then. Now, if only I get her out of the way for just 10 minutes, so that you can have the opportunity for proposing to Gwendolen. May I dine with you tonight at Willis's?
I suppose so, if you want to.
Yes, but you must be serious about it. I hate people who are not serious about meals. It is so shallow of them.
This is where you wanted to end it. This is where they're getting there.
We can carry on to finish the act if you like. It's quite fun. This is kind of like, who's going to play what and who's going to do what. So,
yeah, let's work out the rest next time, and we can do the others. Yeah.
Yes. Because I think I would probably do the old lady better than you would.
I
Do an
think so,
Anya.
maybe. Yeah.
Yes, I think so. Maybe it's like, good afternoon.
Yeah.
Right then. So that's 15% of the way through that book. That's quite awesome. I was really getting into that. I was really
Northman.
enjoying it. Hey, Northman! Woo! How you doing? How things going? How's it hanging? We're doing something a bit different. We're having a read off. This is quite fun. How's your day been going? Oscar Wilde, he's a freaking legend. I mean, we can carry on if you want us to. It's no problem. I think it'd be quite funny just to do a cold read. What do you reckon, Mr. Bear?
I'm actually quite keen to get on with doing our other ones.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good to have, Northman. I think Oscar Wilde, Edgar Allan Poe, definitely. H.G. Wells is another really good one.
That's quite a juxtaposition of authors, Poe and Wilde. No, it's just I love the contrast.
Natch. But what we're going to do is we've both chosen a book, and we're going to do one short story each. And these are books from the way back when. Edgar Allan Poe, The Raven. You should Bear did an amazing reading of The Raven. Suits his voice.
I don't know how amazing it was.
Perfectly. Oh, you did it so well. Don't even. But on Bear's channel, it's fantastic, absolutely brilliant. But do you want to go first, Bear, or shall I?
Why don't you go first?
You
want me to go first?
Well, I've got two. I've got Beasts or Super Beasts, which is a short story collection by Saki. But I'm thinking, like Bear made the suggestion, this one's going to be pretty good, actually. It's the best British short stories of 1922. Bearing in mind, one of my... sorry, I'm like going away from the microphone there. It's new microphone day, ordering on Tuesday. Woo! So excited. It's all tech and everything with software and stuff. It's fantastic. I just... sorry, I'm going all pro with my microphone, so I'm quite excited. Right, enough of the babbling. So, the British short stories 1922. So that'd be after the First World War's finished, just about. The writers are John Cornos and Edward J. O'Brien. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do... the first page is one page, and then the Strand magazine article is 12 pages. So that might be a bit long. So I'm just going to read this first page and see how it goes. Yes, that's the way to go about it. So, from this book, which is the best British short stories of 1922, where some are significantly longer than short stories, but I digress. I'll go this one. Where Was Wych Street by Stacey Aumonier, from the Strand Magazine and the Saturday Evening Post, 1921, 1922. Let's see if it's funny. In the public bar of the Wagtail in Wapping, 4 men and a woman were drinking beer and discussing diseases. Oh, delightful conversation there. It was not a pretty subject, and the company was certainly not a handsome one. It was a dark November evening, and the dingy lighting of the bar seemed but to emphasise the bleak exterior. Drifts of fog and damp from without mingled with the smoke of shag. Shag. But that was the name for it back in the day. Like for baccy was
shag
was
tobacco.
Yeah. The sanded floor was... Oh, I remember pubs with sanded floors. I'm sorry, that only stopped in the 80s. The sanded floor was kicked into a muddy morass, not unlike the surface of the pavement. An old lady down the street had died from pneumonia the previous evening, and the event supplied a fruitful topic of conversation. The things that one could get. Everywhere were germs eager to destroy one. At any minute, the symptoms might break out, and so one foregathered in a cheerful spot amidst friends and drank forgetfulness. Prominent in this little group was Baldwin Meadows, a sallow-faced villain with battered features and prominent cheekbones, his face cut and scarred by 100 fights. Ex-seaman, ex-boxer, ex-fish porter, indeed to everyone's knowledge, ex-everything. Now, no one knew how he lived. By his side lurched an enormous coloured man who went by the name of Harry Jones. Bleep that out. Grinning above a tankard sat a pimply-faced young man who was known as the Agent. Silver rings adorned his fingers. and he had no other name, and most emphatically, no address. But he arranged things for people and appeared to thrive upon it in a scrambling, fugitive manner. The other two people were Mr. and Mrs. Dawes. Mr. Dawes was an entirely negative person, but Mrs. Dawes shone by virtue of a high, whining, insistent voice keyed to within half a note of hysteria. Oh, bugger, I've lost my page. Then at one point, the conversation suddenly took on a peculiar turn. It came about through Mrs. Dawes mentioning that her aunt, who died from eating tinned lobster, used to work in a corset shop in Wych Street. When she said that, the agent, whose right eye appeared to survey the ceiling, whilst his left eye looked over the other side of his tankard, remarked, "Where was Wych Street, Ma?" "Lord!" exclaimed Mrs. Dawes. "Don't you know, dearie? You must be a young un, you must. Why, when I was a girl, everyone knew Wych Street. It was just down there, where they built the Kingsway, like." Baldwin Meadows cleared his throat and said, "Wych Street used to be a turning running from Longacre into Wellington Street." "No, old boy," chipped in Mr. Dawes, who always treated the ex-man with great deference. "If you'll excuse me, Wych Street was a narrow lane at the back of the old Globe Theatre and used to pass by the church." "I know what I'm talking about," growled Meadows. Mrs. Dawes' high nasal whine broke in. "Hi, Mr. Booth, you used to know your way about. Where was Wych Street?" Mr. Booth, the proprietor, was polishing a tap. He looked up. "Wych Street? Yeah, of course. I know Wych Street. Used to go there with some of the boys when I was in Covent Garden way. It was right angles to the Strand, just east of Wellington Street." "No, it weren't. If it were alongside the Strand before you come to Wellington Street." "What are you doing?" "Oh, cool.
I'm putting this up.
Thank you." The coloured man, or the man of colour, took no part in the discussion, one street and one city being alike to him, provided he could obtain the material comforts dear to his heart, but the others carried it on with a certain amount of acerbity. Now, before any agreement had been arrived at, three of the men entered the bar. The quick eye of Meadows recognised them at once as three of what was known at that time as the Gallows Ring. I should do this in a Cockney accent. Every member of the Gallows Ring had done time, but they still carried on a lucrative industry devoted to blackmail, intimidation, shoplifting, and some of the clumsiest recreations. Their leader, Ben Orming, had served 7 years for bashing a person from China down at the Rotherhithe. Now, the Gallows Ring was not popular in Wapping, for the reason that many of their depredations had been inflicted upon their own class. When Meadows and Harry Jones took it into their heads to do a little wild prancing, now it is no, wild prancing sounds absolutely freaking glorious. So two beefy men doing wild prancing like, woohoo! They considered the Gallows Ring an ungentlemanly set. Nevertheless, they always treated them with a certain external deference, an unpleasant crowd to quarrel with. Quick break. There is a bit in a Carry On film where Sid James says, "I only ever beat him a shake." Oh, Sid James. Yak, 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 yak. Back in the day. Okay. Ben Orming ordered beer for the three of them, and they leant against the bar and whispered in sullen accents. Something had evidently miscarried with the ring. Mrs. Dawes continued to whine above the general drone of the bar, and suddenly she said, "Ben, you're an old devil, you are. We was just having a discussion like. Where was Wych Street?" Ben scowled at her, and she continued, "Some says it was one place, some says it was another. I know where it was, 'cause my aunt what died from blood poison after eating tinned lobster used to work at a corset shop." "Yes," barked Ben emphatically, "I know where Wych Street was. It was just south of the river before you come to Waterloo Station."
South.
South London. You're gonna really peck the head when you say that one. South London. Geezer. Apples and pears up the stairs. South London. It was then that the man of colour, who up to that point had taken no part in the discussion, thought fit to intervene. "Nope. You's all wrong, Captain. Wych Street were alongside the church, way over where the Strand takes the sideline up west." Ben turned on him fiercely. "What in the blazes does a blippin' and a blip know about it? I've told you where Wych Street was." Yes, and I know where it was, interposed Meadows. You're both wrong. Which street was a turning running from Longacre into Wellington Street? I didn't ask you what you thought, growled Ben. Well, I suppose I have a right to an opinion. You always think you know everything you do. You can just keep your mouth shut. It'd take more than you to shut it. Mr. Booth thought it advisable at this juncture to bawl across the bar, "No, gentlemen, no quarrelling, please, sir. Please, sir. Gotta have the sir for South London. Every word that ends with S has got a sir. Please, sir." Right. This is... I've got to be really careful when I read this book.
Yeah, apparently.
The affair might have been subsided at that point, but for Mrs. Dawes. Her emotions over the death of the old lady in the street had been so stirred that she had been, almost unconsciously, drinking too much gin. She suddenly screamed out, "Don't you take no lip from him, Mr. Meadows, the dirty thieving devil. He always thinks he's going to come it over everyone." She stood up threateningly, and one of Ben's supporters gave her a gentle push backwards. In 3 minutes, the bar was in complete state of pandemonium. The other 3 members of the gallows ring fought 2 men and a woman, for Mr. Dawes merely stood in a corner and screamed out, "Don't! Don't!" Now, Mrs. Dawes stabbed the man who had pushed through the wrist with a hat pin. Meadows and Ben Orming closed in on each other and fought savagely with naked fists. A lucky blow early in the encounter sent Meadows reeling against the wall, with blood streaming down his temple. Then the man of colour hurled a pewter tankard straight at Ben and hit him on the knuckles. The pain maddened him to a frenzy, and his other supporter had immediately got to grips with Harry Jones and picked up one of the high stools and, seizing an opportunity, brought it down crash onto the man of colour's skull. Now, the whole affair was a matter of minutes. Mr. Booth was bawling out in the street. A whistle sounded. People were running in all directions. "Beat it! Beat it, for God's sake!" A little bit of Mighty Boosh there. "Beat it!" called the man who'd been stabbed through the wrist. His face was very white, and he was obviously about to faint. Ben and the other man, whose name was Toller, dashed to the door. On the pavement there was a confused scramble. Blows were struck indiscriminately. 2 policemen appeared. One was laid hors de combat by a kick on the kneecap from the door. "I'll kick you in the knee." One was laid. The 2 men fled to the darkness, followed by a hue and a cry. Born and bred in the locality, they took every advantage of their knowledge. They tacked through alleys and raced down dark mews and clambered over walls. Now, fortunately for them, the people they passed, who might have tripped them up or aided in the pursuit, merely fled indoors. The people in Wapping were not always on the side of the pursuer, oh no, but the police held on. At last, Ben and Toller slipped through the door of an empty house in Aztec Street, barely 10 yards away ahead of them barely 10 yards ahead of the nearest pursuer. Blows rained on the door, but they slipped the bolts and then fell panting to the floor. Panting, I tell you. When Ben could speak, he said, "If they cop us, it means swinging." "Was the man of colour done in?" So you got to be peaceful. Seriously, that's just, yeah. "I think so, but even if he wasn't, there was that other affair the night before last. The game's up." The ground floor rooms were shuttered and bolted, but they knew that the police would probably force open the front door. At the back there was no escape, only a narrow stable yard, where lanterns were already flashing. The roof only extended 30 yards either way, and the police would probably take possession of it. Now, they made a round of the house, which was sketchily furnished. There was a loaf. Now, it was furnished, but there was a freaking loaf there. A small piece of mutton, and a bottle of pickles, and, the most precious possession, 3 bottles of whiskey. I would say it's tomato sauce, but anyway, more like HP. I digress. Each man drank half a glass of neat whiskey, and then Ben said, "We'll be able to keep him quiet for a bit anyway." And he went and fetched an old 12-bore gun and a case of cartridges. Now, I don't think he did. I'm sorry, but I don't think he did, and I should tell you for why. Because it's illegal in the UK. You can't have pew-pews in the UK.
In the 20s, could you, though?
I don't think so. Toller was opposed to this last desperate resort, but Ben continued to murmur, "It means swinging anyway." And thus began the notorious siege of Aztec Street. It lasted 3 days and 4 nights. Now, you may remember that on forcing a panel of the front door, Sub-Inspector Wraith of the V Division, was shot through the chest. The police then tried other methods. A horse was brought into play without effect. 2 policemen were killed and 4 were wounded. The military was requisitioned. The street was picketed. Snipers occupied windows of the houses opposite, and a distinguished member of the cabinet drove down in a motor car. And directed operations in a top hat. You can ping if it's boring, by the way. If you're not into it, you can go, no, ping. This is naff. Okay, drove down in a motorbike, directed operations in a top hat. It was the introduction of poison gas, which was the ultimate cause of the downfall of the citadel. The body of Ben Orming was never found, but that of Toller was discovered near the front door with a bullet through his heart. The medical officer at the court pronounced that the man had been dead for 3 days, but whether killed by a chance bullet from a sniper or whether killed deliberately by his fellow criminal was never revealed. For, when the end came, Orming had apparently planned a final act of venom. It was known that in the basement a considerable quantity of petrol had been stored. Stored in the basement. I think that's a bit out there, really, for the people of the 7 Dials, and the Rookeries in London, which is where I believe this is based. Maybe. I digress. I just don't think they'd be able to afford petrol, just saying. Not that I'm being pedantic.
Depends on how old it is. It lasted
1922. So I'm sure they wouldn't have had it.
No, I mean, how long it would have been in the basement. It could have been in there for years.
Wow.
But it probably be more likely to be paraffin or kerosene, don't you think, back then?
Yeah, so they're lying in the book. How dare they?
Oh.
Right. The contents had probably been carefully distributed over the most inflammable materials in the top rooms. The fire broke out, as one witness described it, almost like an explosion. Kaboom! Orming must have perished in this. The roof blazed up, and the sparks carried across the yard and started a stack of light timber in the annex of Messrs. Murrell's piano factory. Oh dear. The factory and 2 blocks of tenement buildings were burnt to the ground. The estimated cost of the destruction was £180,000. Back in that day, that was quite a fair penny, I'll tell you. The casualties amounted to 7 killed and 15 wounded. Oh no! At the inquiry held under Chief Justice Pengammon, various odd interesting facts were revealed. Mr. Laws Palby, the brilliant young KC, King's Counsel that is, distinguished himself by his searching cross-examination of many witnesses. At one point, a certain Mrs. Dawes was put in the box. "Now," said Mr. Laws Palby, "I understand that on the evening in question, Mrs. Dawes, you and the victims and these other people who have been mentioned were all seated in the public bar of the Wagtail, enjoying its no doubt excellent hospitality and indulging in a friendly discussion. Is that so?" "Yes, sir." "Now you tell his lordship what you were discussing." "Diseases, sir." "Diseases? And did the argument become acrimonious?" "Pardon?" "Was there a serious dispute about diseases?" "No, sir." "Well, what was the subject of the dispute?" "We was arguing as to where Wych Street was, sir." "What's that?" said his lordship. "The witness states, my lord, that they were arguing as to where Wych Street was." "Wych Street? Do you mean W-Y-C-H? "Yes, sir." "You mean the narrow old street that used to run across the site of what is now the Gaiety Theatre?" Mr. Laws Palby smiled in his most charming manner. "Yes, my lord. I believe the witness refers to the same street you mentioned there. If I may be allowed to qualify your lordship's description of the locality, may I suggest that it was a little further east, at the side of the old Globe Theatre, which was adjacent to St. Martin's in the Strand. That is the street you are all arguing about, isn't it, Mrs. Dawes?" "Well, sir, my aunt, who died from eating tinned lobster, used to work at a cool-seat shop. I ought to know." His lordship ignored the witness. He turned to the counsel rather peevishly. "Miss Laws Palsbury, when I was your age, I used to pass through Wych Street every day of my life. I did so for nearly 12 years. I think it hardly necessary for you to contradict me." Now the council bowed. It was not his place to dispute with the Chief Justice, although that Chief Justice be a hopeless old fool. But another eminent KC, an elderly man with a tawny beard, rose in the body of the court and said, "If I may be allowed to interpose, your lordship, I also spent a great deal of my youth passing through Wych Street. I have gone into the matter, comparing past and present ordnance survey maps. Now, if I am not mistaken, the secret, the street the witness was referring to, began near the hoarding at the entrance to the Kingsway and entered at the back of what is now the Old Witch Theatre." "Oh no, Mr. Backer," exclaimed Lowes Parlby. His lordship removed his glasses and snapped out, "The matter is entirely irrelevant to the case." Now, it certainly was, but the brief passage of arms, can you sort that out for me, please, Bear?
Trying to, yeah.
Sorry, it certainly was, but the brief passage of arms left an unpleasant tang of bitterness behind. It was observed that Mr. Lowes Parlby never again quite got the prehensile grip upon his cross-examination that he'd shown in his treatment of the earlier witnesses. The man of colour, Harry Jones, had died in hospital, but Mr. Booth, the proprietor of the Wagtail, Baldwin Meadows, Mr. Dawes, and the man who was stabbed in the wrist all gave evidence of a rather nugatory character. I like that word. Lowes Parlby could do nothing about it. He could do nothing with it. The findings of this special inquiry do not concern us. It is sufficient to say that the witnesses already mentioned all returned to Wapping. The man who had received the thrust of a hat-pin through his wrist did not think it advisable to take any action against Mrs. Dawes. Oh, no. He was pleasantly relieved to find that he was only required as a witness of an abortive discussion. My God, how much of this is left? Jeepers creepers.
That's okay. You don't have to go through the whole thing if you don't want to.
Well, there's 6 pages left, so as long as you guys want me to do it, but I don't want to take up your time to prepare. Seriously.
That's up to you.
6 pages. What time are we on? 21:12? I can nip through it. Might as well.
Okay.
You sure?
Yeah,
you do yours.
It's up to you.
I can pause it. It's just it'll be half done, and I'll be like, I've got to start the other half of it tomorrow. So
yes,
I'll finish it off. You sure is it? Wasn't me. Oh no. I wanted to do a short story, me. And
this
then
is a short story, is it not?
Well, yeah, kind of. Short story to me is like 6 pages, not flipping 20. I think we'll have to have a 6-page limit next time. That'll be good.
Okay. Well, I mean, I didn't read ahead. I just found it and said, "Oh, these look interesting."
They are very good. I'm enjoying it, to be honest. Some of the vernacular is questionable. It is a short story, but it's like 18 pages short story.
We can leave it off if you want to. If you want to switch over. Mine's a little bit long. You don't have to do I probably won't do the whole thing either. So.
Do you want to do so we'll just keep reading them and we'll do it again tomorrow?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to pause mine now because I think it's Bear's turn. So we go bing, 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 bing. It's Bear's turn. I quite enjoyed the characters in that one. I thought they were quite fun.
See, that's what I thought. I thought it sounded like it would be one that you'd be you'd do well with the characters in that one.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they did write long short stories back then. I'll tell you something though. And I did 7 chapters of this. But one of my favourite short stories in the whole of literature is actually the Pickwick Papers. Well, in English literature, in classic literature, if I was to read short stories that I really wanted to do, it would be Tales of the Unexpected by Roald Dahl. Because they're mint. Are they not, Mr. Bale?
Absolutely.
Are you going to do the run of your own story, or do you want me to try and do it?
I'll do it.
I did. I liked that. That was quite nifty. Are you enjoying? Are you enjoying this live? By the way, just it's really good to have you here, and we've got a nice little group, and we can do submissions of what you want to do. And I'm quite enjoying the books that we're reading. And my cat's back to with my keyboard again. She's got a big tummy. Yes, she does. Yes.
Give me just a minute. I'll be back in just a moment.
Okie dokie. You've got a copy of the Pickwick Papers that you've got as you have as a gift. It's one of the best books. I do have an older copy, but I wouldn't mind getting myself a newer one. Save and get another one. So I'm going to be eating beans on toast for the rest of the month. But then again, actually another month finishes in the next couple of days. Because, as I said, I'll get my new microphone on Tuesday, and I'm very excited about that. Because a condenser mic is fantastic for podcasting or doing audiobooks and starting out. But having a directional mic itself, like a Shure microphone, with the XLR interface, gives you so much more that you can do. And I was amazed because when I got this interface, I can't even remember the name of it, but it's posh anyway. I spent a couple of pounds on it, but it comes along with a music mixing package, which is like proper professional mixer. I'm like, ooh, all these knobs and buttons and dials and stuff, and I'm like, that is awesome. Hey, there's no shame in that. Tale of Two Cities is fantastic, but that's literally Dickens's. There's a lot of Dickens that is quite dark, and there's also something that's really funny, and it's difficult to ascertain. And if you're not accustomed to the way Dickens writes in the traditional sense, and you're more into the way he writes in the modern sense, it is a lot more difficult to absorb what he's actually trying to say. Because when you read these translations, or when you read books that are interpretations, you're reading the perception and the perspective of the person that's interpreted it. And I find that very rarely are they're being too clinical with trying to explain exactly what the books mean, as opposed to looking at it from, although an objective sense, a more creative way. So of course it makes the reading of a translated or transcribed more like a clinical exercise. Oh, David Copperfield. Oh, I can't. It freaks me out, David Copperfield. I've never been a fan of that. Great Expectations. Yes. So, Mr. Beer, what have you got for us? While I drink my cup of tea, slurpy slurp slurp.
So I found it's called The Sunshine Sketches of a Little Town, and it's about a fictional little town in Canada. And it struck me very much like Wobegon, which I was thinking of reading, but I don't think that's in the public domain yet, and I don't know how that would go. Would go copyright wise, so I thought I'd give this a shot. This one's a little long. I might not read the whole thing of this one either, but give it a go and see how it turns out.
And all of the ones that we're reading are in the public domain. It just makes life a lot easier.
Yes. Also, they were written to be serialized. You
Yes.
mean David? Yeah.
I want to read Penny Dreadfuls because I've got a whole book of Penny Dreadfuls and I freaking love them. Just saying. I forgot about that. Carry
on. All right. So I'll get this up on the screen here. No, not
dead sound. Can't have dead air. No.
There we go. There we are.
Ooh.
So this is the first one, The Hostelry of Mr. Smith.
But it's black.
You don't want it to be black?
Well, I can normally only read with black, but it looks prettier when it's sepia.
Oh, okay. I can do that too. Hang on.
I know. No, I'm only joking with you. It's fine, seriously.
Yeah.
Ooh. Can you read that? Yeah. Okay, I mean, I can't read it when it's like that, but I think it looks prettier in the general.
I can read it fine. I might have to put on my old man glasses, but I can read it.
No, not the old man glasses.
Right.
Yeah.
The Hostelry of Mr. Smith. I don't know whether you know of Mariposa. If not, it is of no consequence, for if you know Canada at all, you're probably well acquainted with a dozen towns just like it. There it lies in the sunlight, sloping up from the little lake that spreads out at the foot of the hillside on which the town is built. There is a wharf beside the lake, and lying alongside it, a steamer that is tied to the wharf with 2 ropes about the same size as the one they use in the Lusitania. The steamer goes nowhere in particular, for the lake is landlocked, and there is no navigation for the Mariposa Belle except to run trips on the 1st of July and the Queen's birthday, and to take excursion of the Knights of Pythias and the Sons of Temperance to and from the local option townships. In point of geography, the lake is called Lake Winnisotti, the river running out of it, the Ossawippi, and the main street of Mariposa is called Minnesaba Street in the county of Minnesaba County. But these names do not really matter. Nobody uses them. People simply speak of the lake and the river and the main street, which much in the same way as they always call the Continental Hotel Pete Robinson's and the Pharmaceutical Hall Elliot's Drugstore. But I suppose this is just the same in everyone else's town as in mine, so I need lay no stress on it. The town, as I say, has one broad street that runs up the lake, commonly called Main Street. There's no doubt about its width. When Mariposa was laid out, there was none of that short-sightedness which is seen in the cramped dimensions of Wall Street and Piccadilly. Yeah, exactly. Missinaba Street, thank you. Missinaba Street is so wide that if you were to roll Jeff Thorpe's barbershop over on its face, it wouldn't reach halfway across. Up and down the main street are telegraph poles of cedar of colossal thickness, standing at a variety of angles.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help it.
Colossal thickness, standing at a variety of angles, and carrying rather more wires than are commonly seen at transatlantic cable station. On the main street itself are a number of buildings of extraordinary importance, Smith's Hotel and the Continental and the Mariposa House, and the two banks, the Commercial and the Exchange, to say nothing of McCarthy's Block, erected in 1878, and Glover's Hardware Store with the Oddfellows Hall above it. Then on the cross...
I'm getting shushed.
I was trying to get past that without, but I was surprised that it. But yep.
I'm sorry. It's so good. Okay, I'll be shush.
Shush.
I'll be shush. I'm going to listen to the story read by the nice man. Now shush.
Then on the cross street that intersects Missinaba Street at the main corner, there is the post office and the fire hall and the Young Men's Christian Association and the office of the Mariposa News Packet. In fact, to the eye of discernment, a perfect jostle of public institutions, comparable only to Threadneedle Street on Lower Broadway. On all sides, on all the side streets, there are maple trees and broad sidewalks, trim gardens with upright calla lilies, houses with verandas, which are here and there being replaced by residences with... How do you even pronounce that? Piazzas? Sure.
Piazzas.
Piazzas.
Yeah. It's a perfect word for anybody that's northeast. Piazzas! It's how we say pizza.
I was going to say pizzas. I'd probably rather have a pizza than a veranda. To the careless eye, the scene of the main street of a summer afternoon is one of deep and unbroken peace. The empty street sleeps in the sunshine. There is a horse and buggy tied to the hitching post in front of Glover's Hardware Store. There is, usually and commonly, the burly figure of Mr. Smith, proprietor of the Smith's Hotel, standing in his checkered waistcoat on the steps of the hostelry, and perhaps further up the street, Lawyer McCartney, going for his afternoon mail, or Reverend Mr. Drone and Rural Dean of the Church of England, Church going home to get his fishing rod after a mother's auxiliary meeting. But this quiet is mere appearance. In reality, and to those who know it, the place is a perfect hive of activity. Why, at Netley's butcher shop, established in 1882, there are no less than 4 men working on sausage machines in the basement. At the newspacket, at the newspacket office, there are as many more job printing. There is a long-distance telephone with 4 distracting girls on high stools, wearing steel caps and talking incessantly. In the offices in McCarthy's Block are dentists and lawyers with their coats off, all ready to work at any moment. And from the big planning factory down beside the lake where the railroad siding is, you may hear all through the hours of the summer afternoon the long, drawn-out music of the running saw. Busy? Well, I should think so. Ask any of its inhabitants if Mariposa isn't a busy, hustling, thriving town. Ask Mullins, the manager of the Exchange Bank, who comes hustling over to his office from the Mariposa house every day at 10:30 and is and has scarcely time all morning to go out and take a drink with the manager at the commercial, or ask, well, for the matter of that, ask any of them if they ever knew a more rushing go-ahead town than Mariposa. Of course, if you come to the place fresh from New York, you are deceived. Your standard of version is all your standard of vision is all astray. You do think the place is quiet. You do imagine that Mr. Smith is asleep merely because he closes his eyes as he stands. But live in live in Mariposa for 6 months or a year, and you'll begin to understand it better. The buildings get higher and higher. The Mariposa house grows more and more luxurious. McCarthy's block towers to the sky. The buses roar and hum to the station. The trains shriek. The traffic multiplies. The people move faster and faster. A dense crowd swirls to and fro in the post office and the 5 and 10 cent store and amusements. Well, now, lacrosse, basketball, excursions, dances, the fireman's ball every winter, and the Catholic picnic every summer, and music, the town band in the park every Wednesday evening, and the Oddfellows brass band on the street every other Friday. The Mariposa Quartet, the Salvation Army. Why, after a few months' residence, you begin to realize that the place is a mere mad round of gaiety.
Sounds like fun to me.
In point of population, if one must come down to figures, the Canadian census puts the numbers every time at something around 5,000. But it is very generally understood in Mariposa that the census is largely the outcome of malicious jealousy. It is usual that after the census, editor of the Mariposa Newspacket makes a careful reestimate based on the data relative to non-payment of subscriptions and brings the population up to 6,000. After that, the Mariposa Times-Herald takes an estimate that runs the figures up to 6,500. And then Mr. Gingham, the undertaker, who collects the vital statistics for the provincial government, makes the estimate from the number of what he calls the demised, as compared with the less interesting persons who are still alive, and brings the population up to 7,000. After that, someone else works out that it's 7,500. Then the man behind the bar of Mariposa offers a bet of the whole room that there are 9,000 people in Mariposa. That settles it. And the population is well on its way to 10,000 when down swoops the federal census taker on his next round, and the town has to begin all over again. Still, it is a thriving town, and there's no doubt of it. Even the transcontinental railways, as any townsman will tell you, run through Mariposa. It is true that the trains mostly go through at night and don't stop. But in the wakeful silence of the summer night, you may hear the long whistle of the through train for the west as it tears through Mariposa, rattling over the switches and past the semaphores, and ending in a long, sullen roar as it takes the trestle bridge over the Ossawippi. Or, better still, on a winter evening, about 8 o'clock, you will see the long row of Pullmans and diners of the night express going north to the mining country, the windows flashing with brilliant light, and within them a vista of cut glass and snow-white table linen, smiling people and millionaires with napkins at their chins, whistling past in the driving snowstorm. I can tell you the people of Mariposa are proud of the trains, even if they don't stop. The joy of being on the main line lifts the Mariposa people above the level of their neighbors in such places as Tecumseh and Nichols Corners, into the cosmopolitan atmosphere of traffic and the larger life. Of course, they have their own train too, the Mariposa Local, made up right there in the station yard and running south to the city 100 miles away. That, of course, is a real train with a box stove on the end of the passenger car, fed with cordwood upside down, and with 17 flat cars of pine lumber set between the passenger car and the locomotive so as to give the train its full impact when shunting. Outside Mariposa, there are farms that begin well, but get thinner and meaner as you go on, and end sooner or later in bush and swamp and the rock of the North Country. And beyond that again, as the background of it all, though it's far away, you are somehow aware of the great pine woods of the lumber country reaching endlessly into the north. Not that the little town is always gay or always bright in the sunshine. There never was such a place for changing its character with the season. dark enough and dull it seems of a winter night, the wooden sidewalks creaking with the frost and the lights burning dim behind the shop windows. In olden times, the lights were coal oil lamps. Coal oil lamps. Now, of course, they are,
Yeah?
or are supposed to be, electricity brought from the powerhouse of the lower Ossawippi 19 miles away. But somehow, though it starts off as electricity from the Ossawippi Rapids, by the time it gets to Mariposa and filters into the light bulbs behind the frosty windows of the shops, it has turned into coal oil again, as yellow and bleared as ever. After the winter, the snow melts and the ice goes out in the lake. The sun shines high, and the shantymen come down from the lumber woods and lie around drunk on the sidewalk outside the Smith's Hotel. And that's the springtime. Mariposa is then a fierce, dangerous lumber town calculated to terrorize the soul of a newcomer who does not understand that this is also only an appearance, and that presently the rough-looking shantymen will change their clothes and turn back again into farmers. The sun shines warmer and the maple trees come out, and the lawyer McCartney puts on his tennis trousers. And that's
Ooh.
summertime.
Tennis trousers, oh my.
The little town changes to a sort of summer resort. There are visitors up from the city. Every one of the 7 cottages along the lake is full. 7! The Mariposa Belle churns the water of the Wissanati into foam as she sails out from the wharf in a cloud of flags, the band playing and the daughters and sisters of the Knights of Pythias, dancing gaily on the deck. That changes too. The days shorten, the visitors disappear. The goldenrod beside the meadow droops and withers on its stem. The maples blaze in glory and die. The evening closes dark and chill, and in the gloom of the main corner of Mariposa, the Salvation Army around the Naphatha lamp, lift up the confession of their sins, and that is autumn. Thus the year runs its round, moving and changing in Mariposa, much as it does in other places. How are we going? How are we feeling this one out?
Oh, it's sweet.
Yeah.
It's sweet. I like the tennis trousers. That's probably the highlight of it for me.
That was the highlight of the whole thing.
Ah,
I keep going if you like.
yes,
All right.
thank you.
If then you feel you know the town well enough to be admitted into the inner life and the movement of it, walk down this June afternoon halfway down the main street, or, if you like, halfway up from the wharf, to where Mr. Smith is standing at the door of his hostelry. You feel as if you draw near. You will feel as you draw near that it is no ordinary man that you approach. It is not alone the huge bulk of Mr. Smith, 280 pounds as tested on Netley's scales. It is not merely his costume, though the checkered waistcoat and the dark blue with the flowered pattern forms with his shepherd's plaid trousers, his gray spats and patent leather boots, a color scheme of no mean order. Nor is it merely Mr. Smith's finely modeled face. The face, no doubt, is a notable one, solemn, inexpressible, unreadable, the face of a heaven-born hotel keeper. It is more than that. It is the strange, dominating personality of a man that somehow holds you captive. I know nothing in history to compare with that position of Mr. Smith among those who drink over his bar, except, though in a lesser degree, the relationship of the Emperor Napoleon to the Imperial Guard. When you meet Mr. Smith first, you think he looks like an overdressed pirate. Then you begin to think him a character. You wonder at his enormous bulk. Then the utter hopelessness of knowing what Mr. Smith is thinking by merely looking at his features gets into your mind and makes the Mona Lisa seem an open book and the ordinary human countenance as superficial as a puddle in the sunlight. After you've had a drink in Mr. Smith's bar, and he has called you by your Christian name, you realize that you are dealing with one of the greatest minds in the hotel business. Take, for instance, the big sign that sticks out into the street above Mr. Smith's head as he stands. What is on it? Joss Smith, prop. Nothing more. And yet the thing was a flash of genius. Other men who had had the hotel before Mr. Smith, called it by such feeble names as the Royal Hotel and the Queen's and the Alexandria. Every one of them failed. When Mr. Smith took over the hotel, he simply put out the sign with Joss Smith, prop, and then stood underneath it in the sunshine as living proof that a man who weighs nearly 300 pounds is the natural king of the hotel business. But on this particular afternoon, in spite of the sunshine and deep peace, there was something as near to profound concern and anxiety as the features of Mr. Smith were ever known to express. The moment was indeed an anxious one. Mr. Smith was awaiting a telegram from his legal adviser, who had that day journeyed to the county town to represent the proprietor's interest before the assembled license commissioners. If you know anything of the hotel business at all, you will understand that beside the decisions of the license commissioners of I have hardest time with that word for some reason, Missinaba County, the opinions of the Lords of Privy Council are as mere trifles. The matter in question was very grave. The Mariposa court had just fined Mr. Smith for the second time for selling liquors after hours. The commissioners, therefore, were entitled to cancel the license. Mr. Smith knew his fault and acknowledged it. He had broken the law. How he had come to do so, it passed his imagination to recall. Crime always seems impossible in retrospect. By what sheer madness of the moment could he have shut up the bar on the night of the question and shut Judge Pepperley, the district judge in Missinaba County, outside of it? The more so inasmuch as closing up the bar under the rigid license law of the province was a matter that the proprietor never trusted to any hands but his own. Punctually every night at 11 o'clock, Mr. Smith strolled from the desk of the rotunda to the floor of the bar. It seemed properly full of people, and all was bright and cheerful. Then he closed it. If not, he kept it open a few minutes longer until he had enough people inside to warrant closing. But never unless he was assured that Pepperley, the judge of the court, and McCartney, the prosecuting attorney, were both safely in the bar, or the bar parlor, did the proprietor...
Bring Gus inside.
Sorry about that.
It is getting about that time.
It is, isn't it?
Well, just finish the page.
Yeah. Yet on this fateful night, Pepperley and McCartney had been shut out, actually left on the street without a drink, and compelled to hammer and beat on the street door of the bar to gain admittance.
Yeah. Oh, my lovely beans. It's lovely. We've had quite a few people in, and it's very much appreciated, and it's awesome. Like, if you get a chance, let us know what you think. Let us know what you'd like. If you want to make any book suggestions, we always like those. And what we'll do is, if we're able, we'll come back tomorrow and we'll finish off our stories, and we'll finish off the act of the importance of being earnest, and just make it like a little series, if that's okay with you guys. So thank you very, very much for being here, and we'll send
See you later, Northman.
But yes, see you later, Northman. Thank you very much to everybody who's lurking, because lurkers are awesome, and send you a big love.
Have a wonderful evening.
Yes, have a great evening. Take care, pal.